What was that? Never mind that. What was that?
Hi!
Who are you?
Barf!
Not in here, mister. This is a Mercedes.
Nah, that's my name. Barf!
Barf? What are you?
Here we go. BARFF Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Brian the Commish, joined as always by my co-host Walt Mikulski. Walt, how are you tonight?
I'm good, Brian. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but we got a little Huey Lewis in the News playing in the background in honor of this year's champion, Connor, with Huey Lewis in the News. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Yeah. We're going to talk about the title game. We only have the one game to talk about. It's the title game. And we'll talk about the season overall, some nuances of that season. Let's get started. Walt, this game, in my estimation, and we have those involved right here, and so they'll give us some more insight. But Christmas was not a holiday that was done and over, yet this game was. Walt, tell me how you felt about this game. Huey Lewis in the News taking out Sody Pantloads 161 to 104 to become the 2020 BARFF champions.
Yeah, so it was a tough go for Kyle because what really always hurts is all year you got these guys you've counted on, and right when you need them most, they get hurt. You had James Robinson with the ankle, Antonio Gibson, who's been hurt but not having him available, and it's just all those kind of Tyreek Hill had a hamstring they were talking about. So Kyle had a lot of question marks going in, and then, like I said, it's never great that guys that have been putting up big points for you, that when you need them the most, they're not really healthy and they're not really available. And then we got into the game, and of course, Alvin Kamara goes nuts. I had a little bucket to collect all the tears from Kyle as he was crying every time Kamara scored a touchdown. So it was a tough start. Kyle had all those injuries, but yeah, he hung in there for the first part of Sunday's games. But then, Connor kind of started pulling away. Deontay Johnson was scoring, and Kelsey was racking up points. Tyreek Hill wasn't even on the field half the time. So, yeah, it was tough on Kyle to have to watch his season go up where he wasn't really at full strength to battle it out.
Well, you talked about injuries and other issues with the Pantloads lineup. Can we just clarify, was Kenyon Drake healthy for the entire game that he played?
I'll let Kyle answer that one.
Oh, let's go to Kyle. Kyle, was Kenyon Drake healthy the entire game?
Kenyon Drake, on those 1 yard rushes that he excels at, he looked the healthiest he has all season. If you need a guy to punch it in on the goal line, Kenyon Drake's your guy. He'll lose you a couple yards. He's great.
He got double digits this week. He got 12 points, although I believe that 6 of those points came on a touchdown in the last, 2 minutes of a terrible game. Yes. Let me bring in the current champ, Connor. You got 56 points from Alvin Kamara on Christmas Day, and that was it. Kyle made a text comment the other night about the final score of the game was 56-0, and I don't really dispute that. How did you feel when Kamara went off so early in this title game?
I wasn't watching the game to start. I usually don't watch. Kind of like Billy Beane, if you've ever seen Moneyball, he doesn't watch the games. So I get nervous watching my guys. But I checked the score, and he had 19 in the first quarter and 2 touchdowns. So I felt I had to check in, and from there on out, it was pretty crazy. He probably could have had about 8 touchdowns too, because Taysom Hill stole one from him, and then he dropped a pass that could have been a touchdown too. So it was a pretty crazy day. Definitely wasn't expecting that, but it really did remind me of Kyle's Todd Gurley performance a couple years ago in the title game. He had 50, and I think those were 2 of the highest scoring games ever in the title game. So it was awesome, and I knew I was probably going to win once that happened.
Yeah, Kyle, I'll go to the other side of the table for this. You're watching on Christmas Alvin Kamara go off for 56 points. You let the league know how you felt, but tell me, what did you think your path to victory was after one player goes 56 points in the first game?
Well, Waltman was saying that he was collecting my tears, but honestly, you can ask him. He was surprised that I was like still optimistic. I tried keeping my head in the game. I was like Sunday morning, I was thinking of all the scenarios, but then, it didn't help. Kyler Murray and Kenyon Drake only put up combined 39. But after the Kamara game, I was still thinking of like the possibilities I could win. I wasn't completely down. Obviously, it hurts when one guy puts up 56, but then Saturday, kind of my hopes were mostly dashed. But it definitely stung a little bit. Christmas is a merry time, but Alvin Kamara obviously doesn't celebrate the holidays. So,
Well, I think he celebrated this one in style. Well, we saw 161 points put up by a player in the title game, by a team in the title game. Yet, I mean, let's look at this lineup. The Saints D goes for -2. Jacobs goes for 6, and Woods only goes for 8. Yet 161 points. Is this, in your opinion, the most dominant performance in a title game in BARF history?
That's a really good question because I almost want to go back. But yeah, I mean, I would think so. It has to be right up there. If it's not, it's got to be right up there just because I would say by the 2:30, 3 o'clock mark, it was pretty much all over. Me and Kyle, I agree. Kyle was remaining optimistic even in the face of defeat. He even made a bet.
Sounds like Trump.
What's that?
Sounds like Trump.
Yeah, very much so. And he bet with me $10 that he was still going to win. So I give him that.
Whoa,
Wow.
There, right to the end. But 3 o'clock, I mean, it was over. It really was. Like you said, it was pretty dominant victory by the News.
Wow, hearing that, I may have to Venmo these people their money during the show to make sure that there's some compensation. But we'll make sure everyone gets paid up. Let me bring in the guys that were watching this from the sidelines, the guys that came close. I'm going to start with Ant. Ant, you had that really amazing run to get into the playoffs this year. You look at this game, this is a 104 performance from Sody Pantloads in the title game. If circumstances had been different, do you think there's a path where things might have gone your way to a title this year?
No, because all my guys were hurt or didn't perform. And even if I did make the title game, I think I put up like 100 something points, like 110 maybe, with all my guys still hurt. And I
would have beaten Kyle.
Yeah, that's true. But it was Huey's year, no matter who he was playing.
Yeah, I agree. Christian, I'm going to ask you the same question. Your team had a strong title week game. You put up, I believe, 150. I don't have it in front of me.
Yep.
Again, same question. The ball bounces a little bit differently. How do you see this year going for you? Do you see your path to having overtaken Huey Lewis at any point?
I mean, I think after losing, because Kyle obviously paid off the Steelers offense to play so shittily because how could they go from, losing to the Bengals to beating Indianapolis in a great comeback? I think that, I had a guy with 0 points in that on my roster when I got 150. I could have beat, if I put in a player that got 12 points, I could have beat Connor. So, I think if, Big Ben decides to, repent before the game, I think I win. I think I beat Kyle. So I could definitely have seen myself in place. I was the only one team that week that even held a torch close to Huey Lewis's numbers. So I think it was possible.
Well, I will agree and disagree. And I only brought up this question insofar as that we're looking to next year. And we had a really dominant champ. Connor had a dominant year. We're going to talk more about the year as a whole. But in championship week, Connor went for a ridiculous 161. Worst team ever had an amazing title week as well with, and again, I don't have the screen on, but 188, 180, something like that. Yeah, it was a big week. You had a big week, Christian. Worst team ever had a big week. Obviously, Huey Lewis and the News had the most important big week. But looking to next year, we had a lot of teams that were right on the cusp. And what we're going to talk about next part of the show is this was, in my opinion, and I'm going to look for other opinions, the best year in BARF history in regards to managerial performances. We talked about it a little before last week. And I want to look at some of the moves that were made, some of the things that were done by our title winner this year, Huey Lewis and the News, moving on to the 2020 championship. You had to be on your game And Connor, I'm going to bring you in. You are the newly crowned champ. You had 3 transactions before week 1 to get your team moving. But I'm going to bring up the date October 10th, and it stings a little bit for me, but not just because of our trade. On October 10th, Connor, you make the trade with me to pick up Kelsey and Edelman for Carson and Hayden Hurst. But also on that day, on October 10th, you pick up Justin Herbert. Tell me about your recollections of those moves and how it impacted your team moving forward.
I think I was playing that day. I think that week. I think I was playing Anthony, and I needed a quarterback because it was a Titans-Bills COVID scare game, and they didn't know if they're going to play or not. So that's why I picked up Herbert, and I remember I ended up starting him, and he got 30, and I was like, oh, this kid might not be a narc after all. He might be a good player, you know? So I just kept him on my roster, and then he ended up being like a crazy quarterback. I don't know, top 5 quarterback from there on out. That was amazing. So that was a great day.
Yeah, I will say that's got to be Kyle. I'm going to ask you this, and you're biased, so it makes it more fun. The 2 best pickups of the year, in my opinion, and we'll bring everyone in on this. But Kyle, I'm going to go to you first. The 2 best pickups of the year are Connor taking on Justin Herbert, even though we didn't really need him because he has Josh Allen, and you, Kyle, picking up James Robinson. Kyle, to you, what was the better pickup?
I mean, I have to say James Robinson because Connor did still have Josh Allen, so like he still had his number 1 quarterback. But like without James Robinson, my running backs would have been Kenyon Drake, and I traded for Antonio Gibson, so it would have been Kenyon Drake and DeAndre Swift. So I think overall James Robinson just contributed basically to like all 9 of my wins this year. So I think that was my most crucial pickup, or else I wouldn't even been competitive. So.
True. Walt, what do you think about these 2 transactions in terms of the impact on our title game participants?
Yeah, I got to agree with Kyle. I think James Robinson probably was the most impactful pickup of the whole season, considering that Kyle loses Barkley right out of the gate. And if he doesn't get Robinson, he's probably, at the bottom of the pack instead. You could make an argument Robinson probably would have still outperformed Barkley, even if Barkley was there. So I got to give Kyle that. And to, like Kyle said, Herbert, great pickup, guy's money. But when you got Josh Allen, it's not really, doesn't make that much of a difference. I know we plugged him in a couple of times, but look, it kind of, it didn't backfire, but it could have. Josh Allen had 3 something like that points that he left on the bench. So yeah, I give Robinson.
I think I made the comment last week that Connor had made the right call with those 2 quarterbacks every single week, except this week.
Hey,
This week in the title game.
I was up big, and I just didn't want Kyle to feel too bad. So I just figured I let
like how he wouldn't say anything during the games. Wait till after the game to speak up.
That's the point.
What was that, Walt?
I want to ask you about that too. I don't know if you were nervous. There was no chatter from you at all throughout the game.
It was 0 dark 30 mode, just like LeBron. There's nothing on socials, nothing at all. And, hey, me and Kyle have history with talking shit to each other in the playoffs, so that's why I didn't say anything before. He knows.
No, that's when you should say something before.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I made fun of Melvin Gordon for being out, and then right after that, Matt Forte was out, so that screwed me over.
I will say, Kyle, I pulled back from a text. I actually deleted it when there was the issue over James Robinson being out, and I had texted, it's fine, you still have Jeff Wilson Jr., but then I texted that back or deleted that. That's a little harsh. He went off. It wouldn't have mattered, but
yeah,
we'll
I dropped him too.
That's another segment. We're going to talk about the season. We're going to talk about karma also, Kyle, because I think I know the exact moment where things went wrong for you. But let's go to Christian and the question that what we posed was the best 2 moves were James Robinson and Justin Herbert. Christian, I'll start with you. Do you agree that those were the 2 best pickups, or do you have another pickup that you felt was more impactful on a team this season?
I think those are the best 2, easily, especially for the Soats in essence, because I think if you look at my team, I essentially didn't have a second running back the entire season. I essentially had to just slot people in week by week, and that was like the only weakness in my team. So I think like an early loss that Kyle took in week 1 essentially was the reason why he ran so deep, is because the people who lost early got access to the players that thrived with injuries or to other players or with removal of teammates. And I think you saw that throughout the season with various pickups. And I think definitely James Robinson, because I mean, if I lost week 1 and I have James Robinson, where like that's sort of like that idea of like what teams would be in different places if they had James Robinson instead of some low tier RB2.
Right. Right. Although I won't agree that he did better than Saquon would have, but that's a bias. And same question: were those the 2 best pickups, or do you have another one?
Yeah, no, those were the 2 best pickups. I'm sure you guys were excited.
Tua.
Yeah, Tua. That was a good pickup, but I needed both of those guys, so I wish I could have had them. I had running back problems all year. Tried with DeAndre Swift, but then he got injured late, so then I had quarterback problems with Poo-Poo Matt Ryan. Got him off the team. He sucks.
Oh yeah, but didn't he put up like 30 the week after you dropped him or something like that?
I don't know.
And I tried to fix my running back problems by trading away the best tight end of the game and one of the best point scorers in fantasy football. So don't kick yourself too much.
Yeah, that's right, because he even broke the record for most yardage by a tight end in a single season.
Oh yeah. He's not a tight end; he's a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver 2 or 3, and it's not great. But let's before we go back around to the season, I brought up karma, so let's talk about karma, Kyle, because there was a quote. There was a Merry Christmas quote. Now, we had all talked about karma with Ant and the Beans with their Tua issues in regards to the mentions on the podcast and then the benching. But Kyle, I'm going to say, in my opinion, I'm going to go to Walt after this for his belief in this theory. On Christmas, you thanked us all for our contributions to your win column. Immediately after you make that text, Alvin Kamara goes off for 56 points, and a player that you had dropped recently, Jeff Wilson Jr., goes off in a game where my man, the crybaby, Kenyon Drake, picks up a late touchdown to save a double-digit day. Otherwise, he would have gone for 6 again, which is his number. So to me, that's the karma that came around to slap you. Walt, what do you think about this theory?
Well, I think there's a lot to it, and I think it started early in the season when he goes against his own father. You know what they say: you never go against the family.
Right.
And and he was, just throwing a lot of shade around to his brother, to a lot of people. So I do think once in a while that catches up with you, and karma, he just, maybe this will humble Kyle a little for next season. Probably not, but
no,
maybe.
Definitely not.
Yeah, hey Kyle, put that on your spreadsheet.
I'll add your 10 losses from last year on it too, and that losing record you still have.
Hey, I have 4 championships.
No, yeah, but the Yankees have 27 too.
I think that's another debate.
What?
I said that's another debate, isn't it? Aren't some of the championships shared?
That's another set. Let's get to that later because I want to resolve that issue once and for all.
Can I address the karma situation?
Yes, please, Kyle.
See, I don't believe in that because I've talked that way, the whole Barf career, and sometimes the wins don't pan out that way. I've been talking that way the whole season. It hasn't bitten me in the ass. So when you have you talk the talk, you got to continue it. You can't just stop it. And the game didn't go my way, so I don't think the karma affected me in any way. Jeff Wilson's a piece of shit anyways, so who cares?
Well, John, Christian or Ant, do you have anything to offer on your beliefs on the karma situation?
Karma definitely exists in this league. I think that, and it wasn't even, that didn't even matter that much, but like Cam Akers, I dropped him after doing nothing for like the entire season, and then 3 weeks before the end of the season, he puts up like 20 a week.
Yep.
So, And I think, again, with Ant, I talked about Matt Ryan, the moment he drops him, he goes he puts up, the next 3 weeks, he puts up 2 30-point games, and then he still calls him shit. So, I don't know what Ant's going through his Ant's head over there.
It was a 10-point game, like a game or two after I dropped him. I think Walt picked him up.
What? Who? Aker?
Matt Ryan.
Oh, yeah. No.
Oh, it actually picked up both. Yeah, Walt picked up both those players.
Ryan's a bump. Didn't matter who picked him up.
Yeah. Amen.
So let's go back. Let's go back to some moves that are made by our champ. We talked about October 10th. To me, October 10th for Connor is the day of the season. But he goes on to make some more moves. He makes a trade with the rifle involving Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor. That comes into play later for the title game. On November 20th, he makes this trade with a desperate Mad Soren Eagles team. He picks up Taysom Hill. And to me, this is one of the moves of the season. And Connor, I'm going to go right to you on this one. You pick up Taysom Hill. I don't think you had any interest in Taysom Hill other than he had trade value and you were going to be able to milk something out of him. Tell me about your thoughts when you saw him available and you grabbed him up.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely correct. There's no chance I would have played him. I had Travis Kelce at tight end. I wasn't gonna put him at tight end. I didn't need him, so I just picked him. Nobody picked him up once the news came out. It was crazy, and I mean everybody else needs a tight end, so why not? And I had a couple bidders, and eventually Jordan gave me Tyler Boyd for him, and that was actually turned out to be a really good deal.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd was a really unheralded player this year, but in all formats he put up a lot of points. So he was really dependable. This is the type of move that wins a team championships, and it absolutely played out for you this year, Connor. There were some great moves. This was a great managerial performance by you, in my opinion, top to bottom from the beginning of the year to the end. Walt, I want to talk about Watson. Watson didn't like what Connor was doing early, and Connor shoots to the top spot. Did Connor outsmart Watson this year is the question.
Yeah, I think Watson was full of shit the whole season. I had it's like those projections. I don't know if Watson's putting those projections up at the same time while you're watching the game. Because I think when we left the draft, I think all of us felt Connor's team was pretty good, especially with the number of backs he had. And I think when it's all said and done, it just happened to be the year when I'll call it the revival of the running back. Because all these years it's been, wide receivers in our PPR league. And now all of a sudden this year, backs get hurt, whatever. And there was just a few of them that stood out so much that give you that huge differential against other people. And so Connor picked, this was the season to have the year of the running back.
Yeah, absolutely. And the year of the running back, how do you feel about that?
I don't believe in it. I'm all for the wide receivers. I got Antonio Gibson, flipped him immediately for a wide receiver.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, the guy you traded was the other team that made the championship.
Yeah, but it also got me into the playoffs. The guy I traded got hurt.
We all know what making the playoffs means when you don't win the title. Nothing.
Well, getting in is better than not getting in.
Well, we could ask people that.
I will say, no matter what else happened with you, Ant, this year, you were the defending champ, and that performance that you put on to make it into the playoffs, people will remember in Barf. That defeat of Sody Pantloads, that was an amazing final week of the season, in a season that had a lot of amazing things go on. Let's talk about the controversy, not even controversy. Let's just get some clarity in a definition. So, when we have co-owners, are we splitting titles in half? For example, obviously we're talking about Jeff and Connor. Do Jeff and Connor have half a title for that first championship? Do each of them have one? Those were the only two options that I had in my brain, but a very wise executive producer brought up this theory to me today that it had never even occurred to me. It was that no, simply Jeff and Connor as a duo have one. And for example, if they were to pair up again and win another title, then they would have two. Walt, I'll start with you as the co-host. What do you think about this? How do we evaluate championships when we have co-owners of a team?
Yeah, our executive producer is dead on. That is the team of the two, Connor and Jeff. That's their team. They got one championship. Either one of them get credit separately because, and the reason I'll make the argument for that is they were discussing those moves as a team. They were one. So you can't separate that. So I look at that and say, as individuals, they do not get any championships that went up as the team, Team Davis or Team Rodney Hampton, as I think they were known.
Yes.
Rodney Hampton runs all over you.
Rodney Hampton runs all over you. One of my favorite team. Maybe my second or third favorite team name. Searching for Xavier Grimble is still my first favorite team name. Connor, I'm going to go to you. You're the champ currently, and you are deeply involved in this. How do you see this argument?
It doesn't really matter. I mean, either way, I'm host. But I guess you can make the argument either way. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we both have we won it together, and then we split off and made our own teams. I guess you can say it's half a championship. You can say it's one. I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Kyle, I'm going to go to you. Right now, if we look at Jeff and Connor as an entity that has one, then the list goes like this. Connor has 3. He's the all-time champ right now in Barf.
4.
If we look at Jeff Con with 1, then you have 3. Jeff has 2. Kyle, you also have 2. You went back-to-back. I went back-to-back. I have 2. Walt and Jordan and Ant are each champions in Barf with 1. And then we have Jeff and Connor with 1. Do you see it that way, or do you believe we should start splitting this into halves?
You forgot me at the bottom with 0. Just wanted to point that out.
Christian, I'm waiting until next year to mention you, buddy. But I'm also, people forget, and I don't want to not give credit where credit is due. I saw your team in a couple of title games, and so you've come close. So, but let's go back to Kyle. How do you see this argument with the titles? Do you see splits, or do you see this one entity thing as how we should judge it?
I think our executive producer makes a good point. I think the two of them should count as one because, like, the whole half thing, that doesn't really sound right. Like half a championship. So I do agree. Like, they were a team together. That should count as like one championship for the team. That shouldn't like split off to 2 separate championships because they're one entity. So I think that's a fair assessment. And that is the ranking now, so it really doesn't change much for Connor. He's like now has the 3 anyways. So I think that's a fair assessment of the situation.
All right, Ant, you are our defending champ. What is your feelings on this? If you were to team up with someone and win a Barf title, would you want to see that as a full title for you, a split? How would you want to see it?
Well, if you asked how many Barf titles I would have 2, right? So I would consider it a whole. I don't know how that would work. You know what I mean? Like, you've won it twice, so it's not a half. I think it's a full one. Just what category it falls under is it split with the team? Is it completely on its own, or is it individually? So I'm not sure.
Okay, Christian, your thoughts on this topic?
Well, Connor has won 4 times. So I think that's like, no one debates that. But I do think it'd be like having 2 head coaches on a team and acting like, they sort of won without each other, if you say that, for like any sport. So I think acknowledging the amount that they've won total, that won't change the total amount, but it will, it's some sort of asterisk essentially with 3 by himself, 1 together, or I think there's just an asterisk next to the number.
Okay. Yeah, that's I will say it is, regardless of whether you count it as a full, a half, etc. Connor, that is a hell of an accomplishment, because this league has had its ups and downs, but it has been competitive. And this year, my hat is off to you, my friend. That is an amazing accomplishment in 2020 to win this championship. I think I'm going to leave the argument where it is, which is that we have varying opinions. Connor, no one can take away from the fact that you have won 3 titles as an owner, and you also have won a title with Jeff. Jeff is the same argument. He's won 2 titles and also has won with you as co-owner. So however people want to judge it, it's impressive nonetheless. There's no doubt. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, sure. So, Walt, this is the wrap up of the season, and this is the last show of the season. And to me, the craziness of that, like I mentioned earlier, Mrs. Commish is going to finally get this space above the garage back. But tell me about your feelings as we wrap up 2020. It was not long ago that we were talking about, and we mentioned this last week, we were talking about simming games. We didn't know whether we were going to get done, and I still don't know that the NFL is going to get their season done. But how do you tell me about your feelings as we're coming to the end of the final podcast of the year?
I don't know if others feel like this, but once fantasy is over, there's like a hole in my heart for a little while. It's like a void's there because you spend so much time during the week. I mean, it's almost like I have a ritual. I mean, we watch the game on Sunday, then Monday, and then Tuesday I'm looking at waiver people, who's hurt. And it's such a cycle that you get so used to. And then once that's gone, it's like, okay, now what am I going to do with all this time that I would put in to fantasy football? So yes, maybe I get a little more productive at work. No one notices that, but it does. No, I think it's tough. I really, it takes a couple weeks, I think, to adjust to the off season of fantasy football. So yeah, it's tough. It goes so quick, and it's just I know I miss it a lot during the winter for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss a lot of things. Like this year could have been our worst year, and as a league, I think everyone stepped up and turned it into our best year. Connor, I'm gonna go to you. You're now sitting at the top of the heap. The season's over. What does that mean for you as we move forward? Are you one of those people that really misses it, or is it just something that you're waiting for next year to start?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna miss the heck out of it. It was really a great year overall. It was a treat. It was really a treat to have it go the full year. I mean, beginning of the year we didn't even know. Like no one knew how long they're gonna play really. So especially with everybody so engaged this year in the podcast and the group chat was buzzing. Everybody was having a good time. So I think everybody was really a winner this year. It was just such a good time.
Yeah. Ant, I'll go to you now. You're the defending champ. And you came into this season with a lot of preparation, a lot of planning. You came to the draft with your plan, and now the season's over. What does it mean to you, and are you looking forward to next year?
Well, it sucks not to, come out victorious, but now we're going to create a new plan, get ready for the draft next August.
All right. I can't wait to see it. And I can't wait. I'm telling you, I cannot wait to have the draft start again. Maybe I should wait for getting into this, but I can't even tell you how much I'm looking forward to getting this group back together again in person. It's gonna be pretty special, especially after what we were able to do this week or this year. I mean, Christian, same question. If any people are on the cusp of BARF title glory, I would say it is you. Worst team ever. And then Tommy's coming charging pretty hard behind there in that group. Your thoughts on the end of this year where you came so close and your feelings as we head into the off season and getting ready for next year?
No, I'm pretty pumped not the off season, pretty pumped for next season. But, I'm never drafting a Steelers player again unless it's their defense. It's sad, actually sad what happened.
Yeah.
But, I'd say as much as I may be on the cusp, I don't think I'm owed a championship because I may have played the entire time. But for, 8 years, I don't really give a fuck. So, I can't really say I'm owed anything. But, I don't know. I think this year has proven out my theory. Everyone used to make fun of me for kickers and defenses, and yet I consistently won because of my kickers and defense. And, I had other good players as well. And, I may show up in a Young Hoku jersey next year just to, cement that point. But I'm amped. I'm amped. I think that, I don't know, it might be weird going back to a season that doesn't have so much, change comparatively to last NFL season where it's will it go back to the same as it was? Will it continue to be different? Will it just be some different animal? But that's sort of the fun of it is that you can't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Nice. And I will say, Christian, as much as your kicker and defense strategy gets comments, and we even had Ant getting comments about his draft strategy, both of you got into the playoffs and both of you had impressive years. So I guess the phrase "you do you" comes up. Kyle, your thoughts? Coming so close, you came within one game of Barf glory. Would have been your record-setting third. Tell me about your thoughts as we head into the offseason.
It just means I would consider myself Barf's number one fan. I look forward to Barf every year. My life revolves around Barf when it's the season, and losing another final back to back just makes me that much more excited for next year. Looking forward to it, and I think next year, like without Corona and everything, like there's even more possibilities for this league. Like we'll be able to like get together, maybe actually finally watch games together. People in studio for the podcast again. Like I think the possibilities are endless. So I'm even more excited.
Yeah,
Maybe we can go to Miami and watch Tua.
Yeah, there you go.
That part I'm not so sure, but
It's on me.
Oh, okay.
In that case, yeah, me and a bunch of my friends are gonna be at your door. We'll go. But yeah, I will say, me personally, this has been one of the most special years. I can say that doing the pod on the Zoom is good and bad for me. I'm sad that we couldn't end it in studio this year, this week. Mrs. Kamish gets the needle next week, and I go the week after. But there's just too much. There's too much risk. But I think we had an amazing start, and if we can carry some different things like this, like it's not just this. If we never do this again, then we'll do something else. And the group text again. The group text needs a show of its own next year because it can be so amazing. And so I'm gonna miss a lot. I'm gonna type the last league note of the season right from here where I'm sitting, and I'm gonna turn off all the lights and maybe take a short video of this. But I appreciate everything that everyone did. This was an amazing season during a really difficult time for everybody, and you guys are all responsible for that. And my only hope is that we can take what we built this year and even grow it more. This is the best league. It's the best time that I have. The most exciting time in my miserable existence is when it gets to be Barf draft time, and the saddest time of year for me is when we reach tonight. So I appreciate everything that everybody did. Thank you.
Hey, I didn't expect to cry tonight.
We couldn't do it without you, Kamish. You make the wheel go around.
No doubt.
Also, most importantly, I'll get the Venmo working, and we'll get you guys compensated for your efforts this year. All right, Walt.
I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it. Don't care about it.
Well, the money's part of it. I'm not going to lie. That is it for us for the year. Let's see if I can get some Huey Lewis in the news playing. Here we go. Congratulations, Connor. You are the new champ.
Yeah.
Good job to everyone. Walt, thank you for everything that you did with the podcast this year. It's been amazing. And
Yeah, it was great, Brian. Thank you so much for having me be a part of it.
All right. Wouldn't change it for the world. And that's it. Until next year, we're signing off. Barf Fantasy Football Podcast. Thanks to everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next year.
All right.
Draft